Welcome to the Story World channel. Enjoy your viewing experience. When it comes to crafting content, three crucial factors come into play: perplexity, burstiness, and predictability. Perplexity measures the complexity of the text, while burstiness compares the variations in sentence structure. On the other hand, predictability gauges the likelihood of predicting the subsequent sentence. Human writers tend to employ greater burstiness, incorporating a mix of longer, complex sentences alongside shorter ones. In contrast, AI-generated sentences often exhibit uniformity. For the upcoming content, it is essential to strike a balance by infusing a good measure of perplexity and burstiness while minimizing predictability. Furthermore, please note that the content should be written in English. Now, let's proceed with the rewrite. Lily, with her captivating beauty, youth, and wealth, found herself disliked by both friends and acquaintances. The girl arrogantly looked down upon everyone, irrespective of their status, considering herself superior to all those in her social circle. She even held contempt for those residing in crowded high-rise buildings, unabashedly displaying her disdain for the less fortunate who depended on her. Though no one dared to challenge her openly, it was evident that her father's influential position protected her. Despite Lily's stubborn character, she shared warm relationships with her parents. However, even her mother and father struggled at times to comprehend how they raised such a defiant and mischievous daughter. Lily's strong-willed nature made it difficult to get along with her on many occasions. Once she set her mind on something, she would not rest until she achieved her goals, regardless of the discomfort it caused others. Unfortunately, she lacked true friendships, viewing all girls as envious beings ready to harm her. Yet, by some miracle, she managed to maintain a connection with Nora, the daughter of wealthy parents whom she met while studying abroad in London. The two girls stuck together and continued their friendship at home, although it was challenging to label their relationship as such. It resembled more of an eternal struggle between two beautiful and affluent girls who constantly sought ways to outdo each other. Their rivalry manifested in various aspects, from dresses to jewelry, parties to luxurious resorts. They always found themselves on a similar level, competing relentlessly. However, in the end, Lily emerged victorious. She received a marriage proposal and was now preparing for her wedding. Christopher, the groom-to-be, was an epitome of envy, a handsome man hailing from a wealthy family and achieving remarkable success at only 27 years of age. Lily genuinely loved him and eagerly awaited their wedding day. Meanwhile, Nora, surrounded by numerous admirers, had yet to find a worthy partner. Like Lily, she too would not turn down the opportunity to marry a man of substance, someone who could match her aspirations and lifestyle. Christopher, the man Nora secretly admired, was snatched away from her grasp by the swift and cunning Lily. Nora found it immensely challenging to recover from this heartbreak. Overwhelmed by her disappointment, she sought solace in purchasing a brand new sports car, hoping to find some comfort in her new possession. In her state of upset, she decided to show off her new acquisition to Lily and suggested they visit a bridal salon together to shop for dresses. Lily already possessed two luxurious wedding gowns specially tailored for her, but she desired an additional spare dress just in case. This seemingly minor detail was the only thing left to complete her wedding preparations, as everything else had already been taken care of, booked, and paid for. They decided to explore a prestigious bridal house, a place accessible only to those belonging to the upper echelons of society. The entrance remained closed to ordinary mortals. With a joyful spirit, Lily and Nora settled into the plush seats of the shiny new car and set off for the salon. As Lily, a stunning brunette with captivating gray eyes and legs that seemed to go on forever, emerged from the fitting room in a magnificent white gown, Nora couldn't control her emotions. Her lips quivered, tears welled up in her eyes, and her trembling hand reached for the glass of champagne courteously offered by the salesperson. Nora couldn't help but mutter to herself, realizing why bridesmaids were offered champagne, to numb the bitterness of not being the ones getting married. The next dress surpassed all expectations. Nora hurriedly finished her glass of champagne and eagerly reached for another. In her intoxicated state, she lost track of how much she had consumed, but she knew she couldn't bear the agony of witnessing someone else's happiness without the aid of sparkling wine. Amidst her tipsiness, one thing brought her some satisfaction. Lily's final dress choice received criticism from Nora. She expressed her disdain, stating that she wouldn't be caught dead wearing such a peasant-like dress from a 5-year-old collection. As they left the salon, Lily, still unaware of Nora's intoxicated state, tearfully complained about the lack of decent shops in the city. Oblivious to her friend's condition, Lily continued venting while Nora, despite being well aware of her own inebriation, tried to maintain her composure. Without hesitation, Nora got behind the wheel, determined to navigate the journey home safely. The car began to move as Lily continued her incessant babbling from the passenger seat, still preoccupied with the dress fiasco. Nora struggled to manage her intoxicated state, making it impossible for her to take control of the vehicle. Suddenly, the steering wheel seemed to spring to life, defying any attempts to control it. A sharp impact, followed by Lily's desperate scream, sent the car careening off the bridge and plunging into the water, carrying the two friends with it. Nora's memory became hazy as she tried to recollect how she managed to escape the sinking vehicle and find herself trembling on the shore. Her teeth chattered in an uneven rhythm, betraying her shock and fear. Fortunately, passers-by noticed her distress, offering immediate assistance while calling for an ambulance and the police. Gradually regaining her senses, Nora felt a rising fear of being tested for alcohol and potentially facing the consequences of drunk driving. Several hours later, the submerged car was finally lifted, but Lily was nowhere to be found. Her parents received the devastating news and hurried to the scene as quickly as possible. Lily's mother couldn't comprehend Nora's account, refusing to believe that Lily had been behind the wheel. In her mind, Lily had always been indifferent to cars, preferring to ride in them and capture photographs rather than drive. Christopher, upon learning of the accident, dropped everything and rushed to the scene. The sight of the submerged car from below stirred a mix of anxiety and desperation within him. "Lily, where are you?" he shouted, his voice filled with anguish. Approaching the police, he pleaded for information about his missing bride. Confused and distraught, he questioned why they seemed so composed and slow to act. A police officer, devoid of compassion, responded coldly, "Divers are currently searching for her. Given the severity of the accident and the depth at which the car sank, it is unlikely that she survived. I'm sorry, but there is no rush." The officer's callousness was evident, displaying a hint of malice in his eyes as he addressed the wealthy groom. Not far away, Lily's father embraced his weeping wife, both overwhelmed with grief. "They're not doing anything." "Nothing," the distraught mother wailed, feeling a sense of helplessness and frustration. Trying to soothe her, Lily's father assured her, "Calm down, my dear. I have already contacted the appropriate authorities. The police force and rescue teams will be here soon, and those uncooperative individuals will be removed from their duties." The agonizing wait continued as hope waned, leaving behind a shattered wedding dream and a profound sense of loss for Lily's loved ones. However, the impending punishment that awaited those responsible held little significance for Lily's mother. Her sole focus was finding her daughter, her most important priority. The search persisted for several agonizing days, but to everyone's dismay, Lily's body was never recovered. The inconsolable parents grieved deeply, while Christopher mourned the profound loss of his beloved. The police, convinced of Lily's demise, offered little hope, leaving only her father clinging desperately to the belief that she might still be alive. He resisted the notion of placing his daughter's photo in a black frame at home, adamantly denying the possibility of her sudden death. Amidst the desperation, a juniper tree growing near the river held a secret. It had witnessed a homeless man plunging into the water and retrieving Lily's lifeless body. The man, displaying incredible compassion, performed CPR until, miraculously, the girl began coughing and showing signs of life. "She's alive," exclaimed the homeless man, his voice filled with relief, as the branches of the juniper tree swayed joyfully in response, whether due to the wind or some ethereal celebration. Lily took considerable time to regain consciousness, but the homeless man patiently stayed by her side, wrapping his jacket around her to provide warmth. When she was finally able to stand, with his steady support, he guided her away from the scene. Lily stumbled along, disoriented and weak, while the man steadfastly led the way. As they traversed their path, they encountered various people, their reactions ranging from disgust at the sight of the homeless man and his muddy companion to amusement, accompanied by mocking gestures. Curiosity piqued. Some questioned Lily about her waterlogged state, but all she could manage was shaking her head and mumbling unintelligibly. They walked for what felt like an eternity. Lily's energy waned, and the foul stench in the air hinted at their destination, a city dump. Despite her foggy comprehension, she vaguely realized where she had ended up. They trudged forward, navigating around putrid piles of garbage, until they reached a makeshift shack constructed from a mishmash of salvaged materials: old wooden doors, burlap boards, and pieces of polyethylene. A nearby fire crackled, where sardines were being grilled, casting an eerie glow upon the surroundings. 3 stooped figures loomed in the vicinity. "Here," the homeless man proclaimed, his voice tinged with pride, "meet Mermaid. I caught her in the river today, and I must say it's my luckiest catch." One of the figures straightened up, carefully studying their unexpected guest. Lily, still in a daze, cast her gaze upon them, unsure of what lay ahead. Lost in a haze of confusion and fear, Lily absent-mindedly questioned the reality of her current circumstances. Was it all a dream, or was she truly experiencing this surreal situation? Among the presenters, one was an elderly man, while the other 2 appeared younger, all bearing the marks of individuals cast aside by life. The old man, his voice raspy, inquired about the name of the newfound mermaid. "I don't know," replied the homeless man, his voice tinged with uncertainty, sensing the tension emanating from the others. The 2 younger men approached, their eyes fixated upon the girl before them. One of them grinned unpleasantly, remarking on her beauty, while the other suggested she should become their bride, followed by a shared lecherous chuckle. The old man interrupted sharply, reprimanding his companions. "Hush!" he exclaimed, his voice filled with concern. "Can't you see the girl is in distress? We mustn't jump to conclusions. We need to warm her up and provide nourishment." He turned to Lily's rescuer and issued instructions. Leading her closer to the crackling fire, the homeless man urged her to seek warmth. "Get warm," he offered, gesturing towards the flickering flames. "Would you like something to eat?" Lily, feeling a wave of nausea, shook her head in refusal. "Perhaps a drink?" he asked, but again Lily declined. Suddenly, overwhelmed with emotions, the girl burst into loud sobs. "Where am I? Who are you? It stinks here. Let me out," she pleaded desperately, her voice laced with anguish. Don't worry," the homeless man tried to soothe her. "You're safe with us. Rest here, and later, we'll help you return home." However, as if on cue, Lily shivered uncontrollably, her body succumbing to vomiting before she abruptly lost consciousness. In response, the men decided to carry her into the shack, where they could determine the best course of action. The homeless man who had saved Lily suddenly realized the error of his decision. Regretting that he hadn't left her in a crowded place where someone could find her and offer assistance. Well, tomorrow is another day, he muttered to himself, contemplating the next steps to take. The following morning, Lily awoke, her body weak, battered, and plagued by a throbbing headache. As she saw her savior holding a cup of steaming liquid in his hands, she instinctively recoiled, her wariness still intact. "I'm Fred. Do you remember me? Yesterday, I pulled you out of the river," he spoke gently, trying to ease her apprehension. Lily attempted to speak, her voice feeble and strained. "Where am I?" "You're safe now," Fred reassured her, his tone laced with empathy. "Take your time, gather your strength. We'll figure out the best way to help you." "Bad," Lily muttered under her breath as she surveyed the dilapidated shack where she had spent the night. The room was filled with a greasy mattress, dirty dishes, a pile of plastic bottles, and a collection of rags, things she couldn't make sense of in her current state. "I feel sick," Lily moaned, crawling outside for some fresh air. Tenderly touching her face and head, she winced. Her face was swollen, and her head was wrapped in a makeshift bandage. However, the most alarming realization was that she couldn't remember her own identity, her name, where she came from, or how she ended up in this unfamiliar place. Amidst the haze of confusion, one thing was clear: she needed to escape urgently. Fred, ever watchful, tried to engage Lily in conversation, hoping to unlock any fragments of her memory. Yet, her resistance remained steadfast, her fear preventing her from acknowledging her memory loss. Periodically, Fred had to fend off the two men from the previous day who displayed a clear interest in Lily, causing him to become even more protective. Fred's constant presence reassured Lily, though she remained guarded. He only left her side when he noticed old Donovan, beckoning him with a newspaper in hand, a sly smile on his weathered face. "That's the twist of fate, that's the twist," the old man muttered cryptically, pointing to the front page of the newspaper. Under the headline announcing the disappearance of a millionaire's daughter, Lily's photo captivated Fred's attention. Shock washed over him, and excitement surged within. "Well done, Donovan. I'll take her to the police, and I'll surely receive a reward," he exclaimed, unable to hide his elation. Wait, don't be so hasty," Donovan interrupted, his tone filled with intrigue. "Believe it or not, I know this Lily like the back of my hand. I didn't recognize her yesterday because she was shrouded in shadows, covered in dirt." Baffled, Fred inquired, "How do you know her, Donovan?" "Do you really think I've been lurking in dumpsters my whole life?" Donovan retorted, a glimmer of pride in his eyes. "Before my son forced me to give up my apartment and cast me onto the streets, I had a respectable job and a good reputation. I worked as a gardener for affluent households. I took care of the most delicate and temperamental plants, meticulously trimming the bushes with artistic precision. Oh, if you could have witnessed my craft. But then my son abandoned me, and my life spiraled downward." Fred listened attentively, the pieces of the puzzle slowly coming together. "Oh, Donovan," he sighed, "let's cut to the chase. Tell me everything you know." Donovan's memory stirred, recalling his experiences with the Thorne family. "Oh yeah," he began, his voice laced with remembrance. "I worked in the household where this Thorne girl lived with her parents. I've never encountered a more difficult girl. Her quarrelsome nature led her to find fault with everything and everyone. She bullied the servants relentlessly, making them redo tasks 100 times over. I had my fair share of her wrath too. I didn't believe in this boomerang effect before, but now I see it with my own eyes. It's all true. All that evil has come back to her, and we must teach her a lesson for everyone she harmed." Listening intently to Donovan's story, Fred was amazed by the parallels. "Come on, what do you have in mind?" he asked, curious about the old man's plan. Scratching his head, Donovan contemplated for a moment. "Nothing too extravagant," he finally replied. "Let her live here with us in the dump, experience real life. And when she remembers who she is, we'll send our princess back to her palace. Apparently, she lost her memory when she fell into the river. So until she remembers, let her taste the hardships of our lives." Without hesitating, Fred agreed wholeheartedly. He harbored a deep resentment toward spoiled, wealthy individuals. 2 years ago, a wealthy heir crashed into his car, resulting in the tragic loss of Fred's pregnant wife. Consumed by grief, he gave away all his money, sold his property, and dedicated his resources to hiring the best lawyers to ensure the spoiled rich son faced justice. However, the wealthy individual's money and connections proved formidable, and Fred couldn't provide sufficient evidence to convict him. Tormented by guilt over his inability to seek justice for his wife and child, Fred spiraled into alcoholism, ultimately finding himself at the city dump. Meanwhile, the rich individual continued his opulent lifestyle, driving around in his brand new car, basking in the false sense of ownership over the city. Fueled by his resentment, Fred swiftly agreed to participate in teaching the Thorn Girl a lesson she wouldn't soon forget. "Do you really not remember anything?" Fred asked Lily, his gaze fixed on her. She shook her head in response, her memory still shrouded in confusion. "Don't you even remember that I'm your husband?" he questioned further. As these words registered, Lily lifted her head, her expression a mix of surprise and uncertainty. Two of Fred's friends burst into laughter, finding the situation amusing. "Husband," Lily uttered, taken aback. "Yes, that's right," Fred affirmed, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "My name is Fred, and you're Lily, my little Lily. Try to remember." Hearing her name echoed within her, Lily's heart skipped a beat. "Yes," she whispered, her voice filled with uncertainty. "You're right, I am Lily. I know everything." Fred burst into laughter, his voice filled with amusement. "Yesterday, you were scavenging beer bottles and cans on the beach, drinking the leftovers. No wonder you suddenly lost your balance, stumbled, and fell into the water. Splash! I barely managed to pull you out. You were on a drunken hunt, Lily." Lily couldn't believe her ears. "I was gathering bottles?" she questioned, a mixture of disbelief and unease in her voice. "Yes," Fred confirmed, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "And you call it a drunken hunt. There's always something tasty left at the bottom for you. Don't worry, my dear. You'll sober up soon, and we'll go gathering bottles again." The words made Lily feel sick. She clutched her head and stomach, sinking to the ground, curling herself into a protective ball. "This is a dream, a real dream," she repeated, attempting to convince herself. However, the pungent smell that enveloped her only served as a reminder that everything was indeed happening. At first, Lily resisted her new reality, crying and whining in protest. But soon, the harsh truth settled in. If she didn't work, she wouldn't eat. After a couple of hungry days, she found herself willing to collect metal and tin cans, or search for food in the most undesirable places. Over time, Lily grew accustomed to this way of life, wholeheartedly believing that Fred was her husband. It's worth mentioning that Fred didn't live in a shack. The rundown structure served as his office. With the money from selling his apartment, he had purchased a dilapidated house, which he diligently worked to restore. Though the house posed numerous challenges, it provided Lily with a sense of contentment. After living in the shack, she yearned to bring order and stability to their new home. However, her lack of experience as a housewife became evident. In her previous life, she had never held a broom, a rag, or even a paintbrush. Yet Lily embraced the opportunity to learn and grow. As they began living together, Fred's transformation was remarkable. He completely abstained from drinking, and thoughts of returning to his normal job started to occupy his mind. With Lily by his side, he found renewed purpose and motivation. Autumn arrived with a damp chill, and rain poured down relentlessly, testing the limits of the shack's shelter. The younger wanderers sought refuge in nearby villages, securing work that provided housing. However, Donovan had no such option. He settled in the shack, claiming an old mattress as his own. Despite the hardships, the makeshift family found solace in each other's presence. navigating the challenges of their chosen lifestyle as they weathered the storm together. Donovan slept soundly, embracing the shaggy puppy named Alf, whom he had discovered amidst the refuse of the garbage dump. Someone heartlessly discarded the weak and sickly pup, but Donovan couldn't bear to leave him behind. Now, the black puppy with reddish tan markings expressed his gratitude by providing warmth on cold evenings and frosty mornings. Observing Donovan's solitude, Lily couldn't help but voice her concern. "Fred, aren't you ashamed? Donovan is all alone, and we're living here under a roof. We must take him in with us right away." Fred agreed wholeheartedly and welcomed the elderly man and his loyal puppy into their humble abode. "Here, Donovan, I've prepared a bed for you. I hope you'll find it comfortable," Lily fussed, her nurturing instinct coming to the forefront. "We need to restore your documents so that you can receive your pension. You're entitled to it. We won't take anything from you. And you need warm clothes because the cold weather is approaching." Donovan was taken aback, his mouth agape in surprise. He had never anticipated such kindness and compassion. When they were alone, he spoke to Fred, his voice filled with gratitude and concern. "Listen, Fred, you've gone above and beyond. It's been a long time. You should have returned the girl to her family. You've done enough to re-educate her." Fred's response was unwavering. "Wait, Donovan," he said, his determination clear in his voice. "I won't give her up. She's my wife, and I truly care for her." Donovan warned, worry evident in his expression. "Well, look, Fred, they could put you in jail for that." Undeterred, Fred remained resolute. However, his plan almost faltered when he had to travel to the city on business and decided to bring Lily along. Amidst well-dressed individuals who exuded an air of superiority, Lily felt acutely uncomfortable. She sensed the disdainful gazes cast her way, and one girl, in particular, stared at her with disbelief before hastening to her car. To Lily's surprise, it was Nora, the very girl who recognized her in the car. Nora grabbed her phone, tempted to inform Lily's parents about their daughter's whereabouts. However, after a moment's contemplation, she dismissed the idea. To hell with it, she muttered to herself, opting to let Lily figure things out on her own. With that, Nora stepped on the gas, racing back home, her heart a mix of fear and satisfaction. Gradually, Lily's encounter with the peculiar rich girl faded from her memory. Life took its course, and she found solace in the simplicity of her existence with Fred and Donovan. Day by day, she adapted to her surroundings, learning to appreciate the warmth of their humble home and the companionship of Alf, the faithful puppy who never left her side. In this new life, Lily discovered the true value of compassion, resilience, and the strength that could be found in unexpected places. Fred embraced every job opportunity that came his way, never shying away from hard work. Donovan, now armed with restored documents, began receiving his pension and generously shared a portion of the money with the young couple. Together, they embarked on a journey to transform their house from a dilapidated wreck to a charming and cozy home, albeit modest in size. As the years passed, Lily found solace in the company of simple yet delightful friends. With Donovan's assistance, she cultivated a beautiful garden on their plot of land. The ever-vigilant and grown-up Alf proudly patrolled the house, assuming the role of a loyal guardian for its occupants. But above all, Lily's love for Fred deepened, cementing their bond as husband and wife in her heart. Over time, Fred himself began to believe in the story they had woven, finding a sense of purpose in their shared journey. He worked diligently at a warehouse, steadily progressing from a simple dispatcher to a managerial position. His ambition refused to be contained by his current role, as he aimed to reclaim the heights he once held. Though his determination remained unwavering, he made valuable connections along the way. Leveraging his network, Fred secured a job for Lily at a reputable cleaning company. While she already possessed cleaning skills, the company provided her with additional training, enabling her to excel and earn the trust of prestigious households. Lily took her job seriously, approaching each cleaning task with thoroughness and dedication. Sometimes she worked independently, handling the responsibilities alone, while other times her partner offered assistance. The pay was good, but Fred urged Lily to prioritize the restoration of her official documents. Despite the urgency, he found ways to dissuade her from approaching the police, employing various excuses. For the time being, Lily continued to work without official documents, taking advantage of the opportunity. One day, she was assigned to a house where a grand celebration was to take place. As Lily stepped foot into the house, a strange sensation enveloped her, an eerie feeling of déjà vu. Wiping surfaces, treating them with polish, she couldn't shake off the sense that something was amiss. Her partner grew increasingly impatient with her perceived slowness, constantly pushing her to hurry. However, Lily found herself unable to do anything to alleviate the nagging feeling. Finally, unable to ignore her intuition, Lily descended to the hall, intent on completing her cleaning duties. It was there, in the midst of tidying up, that an unexpected revelation struck her like a bolt of lightning. The photograph, encased in a black frame and resting on the fireplace shelf, portrayed Lily in a starkly contrasting light. Even her gaze seemed altered, a reflection of the transformed woman before them. As the room was illuminated by flashes of bright light, Lily realized with overwhelming certainty, yes, it's me. The shock proved too much for Lily to bear, prompting her to scream. Her partner rushed to her side, joined shortly after by Lily's mother, who had been jolted awake by the piercing sound. Annoyance initially clouded her mother's expression, but soon reality sank in, and she acknowledged that this was no dream. Hastily, she reached for the phone, dialing her husband's number, desperate to share the unbelievable news. Moments later, Lily's father stormed into the room, coming to an abrupt halt as he took in the sight before him. Then he sprinted toward his long-lost daughter, enveloping her in a tight embrace. "Daughter Lily, how long we searched for you, my dear," her father uttered with a mixture of relief and profound joy. "We spared no expense, employing every means possible to scour the entire city, but finding you seemed impossible." Like her parents, Lily struggled to fully comprehend the magnitude of her return. Her memories remained fragmented, yet she recognized who she was and was able to reconcile the faces of her parents, the individuals who had been yearning for her safe return. Concurrently, she became acutely aware of her husband's deceit. The love she once held for him now tarnished. Lily felt an overwhelming reluctance to engage with him any further. Observing her distress, the man understood the gravity of his actions. "The most important thing now is to avoid falling into the abyss of despair," Donovan reassured him. Fred nodded in agreement. "No, I won't succumb to that darkness a second time, and above all, I mustn't end up in jail. It's too late for repentance." Meanwhile, Christopher arrived at the hospital to visit Lily, who was undergoing a routine examination after 2 long years of absence. Their reunion was marked by an embrace that lingered, accompanied by heartfelt words exchanged between them. However, Christopher regretfully disclosed that he would be getting married in just a few days. Surprisingly, Lily was not disheartened by the news. On the contrary, she rejoiced in Christopher's happiness, understanding that their paths had diverged. As for Nora, the fear of confronting Lily prevented her from visiting. Lily retained vivid memories of their encounter, the moment she saw Nora's true nature. While Lily's journey to rebuild her life had been arduous, it had also been enlightening, helping her recognize the value of genuine connections and the resilience she possessed within herself. After initially hesitating to engage with Fred, Lily eventually realized that she missed him. In an earnest conversation with her father, Lily explained that Fred was not a kidnapper but the one who had saved her life, declaring him her husband. Grateful to fate for the transformative experiences she had endured, Lily embraced the opportunity to embark on a new life, one shaped by resilience and personal growth. A month had passed, and the garden was adorned with a festive table. Alf, with a wide smile, busied himself, eagerly encouraging everyone to sample the delectable dishes. Donovan momentarily paused his feasting to admire a particular plant in the flower bed. Having been appointed as the gardener, he now resided in a house on the property, eagerly anticipating his upcoming responsibilities. Meanwhile, Lily whispered sweet words into Fred's ear, their love evident in their shared smiles. She invited her newfound friends to join the celebration, their genuine admiration for her beautifully transformed home palpable. Laughter filled the air as they savored the simple yet heartfelt joy that permeated the gathering. In this moment, Lily and Fred commemorated their true wedding, forsaking the grandeur that her parents had envisioned, opting instead for an intimate and meaningful celebration. Suddenly, a wave of nausea washed over Lily, compelling her to hastily retreat to the bathroom. Concerned for her well-being, one of her friends followed her, offering support and reassurance. It was during this vulnerable moment that the friend suggested a pregnancy test, casually remarking, "Hey, take it. We're planning a baby, so I have some tests lying around the house." Sensing the gravity of the situation, Lily reluctantly accepted the test, unsure of what to expect. Minutes later, as she anxiously examined the test, her disbelief transformed into sheer elation. 2 distinct lines confirmed her pregnancy, and Lily's heart overflowed with joy. Rushing back to the garden, she handed the test to Fred, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Deeply moved, Fred's eyes welled up with tears, and he embraced her tightly. Applause erupted from the assembled guests, and Donovan's voice boomed with joyous exclamation, "Happiness to the newlyweds." In that moment, a new chapter began for Lily and Fred, a chapter defined by the boundless love they shared, the resilience they had discovered, and the hope that now blossomed within them.